Welcome to Pixelated Therapy, where we take the subjects of gaming and psychology and show how the former can help us explain the latter. As always, I'm glad to have you with us, and today we're going to talk about the fear of missing out, or as it will be called for the rest of the episodes, FOMO. FOMO is something that affects our everyday lives, and really and truly it's not something new. When we go on to define it in a few moments, we'll see that FOMO is something that could be pointed back to the early 1900s. But with the advent of social media, and as technology has become more simplified, information has become more readily available, we're finding that cases of FOMO are increasing on an exponential level. And I think it's important that we spend a little bit of time talking about it, because the fear of missing out is going to have a great influence on how we do some of our gaming. So let's start out by defining the fear of missing out. Now, the fear of missing out, as I stated, is nothing new. I believe it could be traced back to the early 1900s. While the book doesn't say anything about fear of missing out in it, the book Quiet by Susan Cain makes mention to how advertisements in the early 1900s began to target farmers or farming families in this way. When I say this, I understand it's going to sound kind of sick to us, but remember, these are farming families, and most of them would get up in the morning, they would get extremely dirty, and then they would go eat lunch, go back and continue getting even dirtier, and so on and so forth. And so bathing maybe once a week or twice a week, something of that nature. And what would be done by the advertisers, they would take clothing, perfume, detergents or soap, and they would target these families by making it seem like, hey, in order to be a normal person within society, you need to be clean at all times. Hey, in order for you to be, the normal person within society, you've got to have your clothing washed and clean at all times. And really and truly, that can begin to play on the minds of individuals to make them wonder, hey, I'm not like this at all times. Maybe there's something wrong with me. And so that is something to kind of think about and to focus on as we discuss this. And it gives us kind of an idea, more and more as time went on, the 1950s, the fear of missing out began to be studied even more. And in this day and age, there's a lot of study being done on how advertisers use the fear of missing out to target certain audiences. The fear of missing out, more or less, is just the fear of missing out on a rewarding experience by not being present. And what I would throw out there with this is, for kind of an example, is you can think back to a time that you were in high school and one of your classmates was having a party. A number of individuals were invited, but you were not one of them. Now, if you feel like you're being targeted right now, don't worry, I was in the same boat, okay? But what begins to happen is you start to imagine what the party would be like. You would imagine the people that are there, you would imagine the things that are being done, you would imagine all the fun that is being had, and in your mind, what you were doing at that point was nothing compared to what they were doing. And so you had this experience of, I'm missing out on something great. Or let's take this to the gaming side of things, where certain mobile games will release characters on the weekly, and these are very strong characters. And what they do is, hey, if you want to have a strong team, strong character, here's a trial where you get 24 hours to experience gameplay with this one character. If you really want to be a strong gamer, here's what you need to, you need to have. In order to unlock this character, you've got to go through these impossible circumstances, or you can drop a few dimes, and you might be able to unlock this character. There's a 1 in, we'll just say like a 1 in 1,000 chance of you actually unlocking this character, but hey, I mean, you've at least got the chances to do it. And they present it in such a way that people are willing to spend countless amounts of money in order to experience this character. So you got the fear of missing out. Well, let's talk about some of the characteristics of FOMO. When we talk about what FOMO is, what are some of the characteristics of it? And I think it's important to point this out so we can even catch this in our own lives. Like, first of all, you're going to have irritability. One might develop a hostile attitude when we talk about the fear of missing out. And it might be that this person shows a quick temper, they start being rude, or maybe they just have generally grouchy behavior. And again, this could be from seeing a post about a wedding, a pregnancy, some life-changing event, and they say to themselves, "Why is that not me?" And they're so saddened because it's not me, this is someone else, that they begin to treat the others around them with rudeness. This is likely linked as well with the second characteristic, which is anxiety. Those who suffer from FOMO tend to increase in anxiety during periods of time in which social media is not being used. Or maybe this person may enjoy how much fun others are having without them. Their own lives would be viewed as less joyful than the lives of their peers, and all this does is increase anxiety which may already be present in their own lives. But there's also feelings of inadequacy. And usually coupled with inadequacy is feelings of shame and incompetence. And again, here's, the example. Person's not invited to a party might start asking questions about themselves. What's wrong with me that I'm not getting invited? Am I not popular enough? Is there something wrong with me? Am I a problem? And so they begin to create all of these reasons in their mind. I'm faulty here. I'm terrible there. I'm just a generally unpleasant person to be around. They're inadequate. In the realm of gaming, one might have the mindset of, I cannot keep up with the current meta as my team is not strong enough. And at this rate, I'll never, ever be able to truly succeed at this game. So hopefully we can see in these characteristics somewhat how FOMO works. But there are also key factors that we want to pay attention to, such as ostracism. That is the act of being excluded. And what this does is this lowers the self-esteem of the person who's being affected. So you've got this fear of social exclusion and ostracism. And what it often does is it's going to motivate us to change our lives, to change the way that we dress, to change, other aspects of our lives, to either avoid social exclusion and or ostracism. And so along with that, we start doing something else. We start not just fear of ostracism, but we start making comparisons. We compare our lives to the lives of others. And it could be viewed in line with the same vein with the old phrase, keeping up with the Joneses. Other people have things which are new, that are expensive, that are great. We want the same things in our own lives. And so this could lead us, also to compare our lives to how our lives could be if something completely changed. Well, how much better would my life be if I had this brand new car? Or how much better could my life be if I were invited to this party? How much better could my gameplay be if I had this great character? We're more apt to view the situations in our head as always being more enjoyable than the ones that we're currently in, even if the reality is starkly different. We may not enjoy these other situations as much as what we're doing now, but it's the old adage of the grass being greener on the other side. That's how we're going to view it. And so let's talk about this big connection that we notice with it. So with everything we've talked about thus far as the anxiety, the irritability, the inadequacy, the fear of ostracism, the comparisons we make, what is a strong connection we can throw out about FOMO? that there's a huge connection between social pressures and the fear of missing out. We all feel a strong sense of belonging, and that longing might cause us to act a certain way. We want to conform ourselves to the lives of those who are popular around us. Now, we might start listening to certain types of music because our friends listen to that music, or the people we want to be friends with listen to that music. We might start dressing a certain way because of a popular social group and the fact that they do those things. We might purchase certain products in hopes of fitting in with the crowd surrounding us. As we're going to see in the next video, advertisers and companies, and that includes game companies, have used this fear and have used this idea of social pressure in order to drive sales. And as sick and disgusting as that sounds, it works. Now, this is just a basic foundation to the fear of missing out, and hopefully, in the short time that we've looked at it, we have a better understanding of what it is and how it affects each one of us. In the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to actually look at how game companies they'll take this idea and they'll use this fear of missing out to try to get you and I to purchase the products that they have. And this works not just in, laundry detergent or cars, but also in the games that we play. And if we have a better understanding of what that is, we can hopefully hope to avoid letting the fear of missing out affect us in a largely negative way. But as always, thank you for taking the time to listen and watch this video. Thank you very much. And as always, God bless you all, love one another, and game in good health.